Ladies and gentlemen, gather around. We're going to have a little evening powwow like we normally do. And this one's going to be lit, as the kids say. So tonight I'm doing an Eyes to See Vision Beyond the Narrative show because of something that happened today. But you see, yesterday we did the same show. And I designed it to be a once a week politics and current event show. But the other shows are all grow shows. But tonight, I had a little conversation with a homie today, and it reminded me of selective amnesia and buying bullshit narratives. And we're literally working our way through this journey. If you go back and watch all the previous episodes where I wrote the papers, this journey of understanding how to see truth from fiction. And humans are just fucking terrible at it. So the conversation went something like this. I think I was bitching about the economy or something, right? Excuse me while I fix my headphone thing. This drove me nuts yesterday. Get one more twist out of it. There we go. So I think the conversation had something to do with the economy, and it's like, fuck, man, I can't. Yeah, it was like, hey, you know those new laws are coming in Colorado. Are you going to buy any guns before the new laws come in? I was like, bro, I ain't buying anything forever. The way things are going. And then we start bitching about the economy, and I don't know what the statement was, but it was something about inflation. And I was like, do you not remember where the inflation came from, where it started? And he was like, so basically what you're saying is it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. And what, inflation's 4% right now, and it's Trump's fault. I was like, do you not remember? Like, amnesia must be nice. But it was 9% at some point, and no, hey, it was not 9%. I was like, I swear, I'll find it. I'll send it to you. And then he's like, but these gas prices are crazy. I was like, they were worse under Biden. They were up to $5 on average. And on the average overall, yeah, we're in the middle of a fucking war with Iran, literally to rebuild the dominance of America through oil production. We're literally going through a conflict right now to get that sorted out. Hold on a second. My upstairs neighbor's bothering me. Yeah, my estimation, Trump is literally executing a plan that multiple presidents have had since probably George W., Bill Clinton, Barack Hussein, Joe Biden. The government of the United States has always had Iran in its sights. This war has been planned out for years and years and years. Different ways about going, different war games, whatever. None of the presidents had the balls to do it. Matter of fact, the guy that likes to tickle balls and suck dick, Barack Obama, allegedly. I don't know. I just heard an interview with the guy that said he gobbed his knob. And I've seen Michelle Obama dancing on Ellen. So who am I to say, do your thing. But he didn't have the nuts to do it. He instead gave Iran a pallet of $1 billion in cash or something. And a terrible deal. That was the problem. So Trump comes in and he's like, fuck that Iran deal. We're throwing it in the trash. Iran, you're not going to fuck around with us anymore. Iran produces a lot of oil. Russia produces a lot of oil. China produces zero oil, and China needs a lot of fucking oil. And they need oil from their friends. China's only friends are Russia, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, all the communist fuck around shithole countries. In case you don't remember, Trump went into Venezuela and was like, bitch, please, you're mine. This country's ours. This oil will be sold on the free market. I'm a free market capitalist, he says. We are going to allow Venezuela to flourish now. They're going to make billions and billions of dollars with their oil. And you're going to sell it to us, or you're going to sell it to whoever we say you can sell it to. Oh, in the meantime, we're going to go to war after that with Iran and gum up the Strait of Hormuz, where 80% of China's oil comes out of. Like, we make enough oil in the U.S. We're oil independent, where we were independent on Trump's first term, right? So, looking back on it, you can start to see energy independence, bring manufacturing home, isolate from the world, don't be so dominant on China. And how do you take China down? Put a cap on Iran. And that's what they did. They basically just flattened every technical piece of equipment in Iran from the military perspective and said, now we own you to some degree. We're not sending anybody in there, but we want to make a deal because we know that you guys are losing $400 million a day. Is it $400 million a day? I think it was $400 million a day. In oil revenue. Now that the deal's done, one could assume that once the Strait of Hormuz is open, Iran can pump out as much oil as they want and sell it to whoever they want. Because there used to be sanctions with Iran, but the new deal is like, hey, we're not going to put sanctions on you. You sell it to whoever you want it. Full dollar value, you get your money. You sell it to Europe, you sell it to China, we don't care. We put China in between a rock and a hard place because they were getting shut out of their energy and they don't have any oil. They have coal, but they don't have oil. So, to me, it's hopefully we'll be looking back in 6 months saying this is the most gangsterly executed plan that could have been conceived to bring the United States back to world dominance, which is where we should be, but also to independence, to free of never-ending wars. Some say, well, the war in Iraq or in Iran is going to be a never-ending war like Iraq. No, I don't think Trump wants anything to do with that. He's like, we got a job. We're going to go in there and do it, and then we're going to go out, just like we did with Maduro. Yes, sir, let's do it. And so that's what we're in the middle of. And it's my hope that, I looked at the gas today, it was $3.65 down the street. I know before the war and Iran started, it's the last time I got gas. It was I might have gotten gas once. I get gas once a month, whether I need it or not, like a lot. Because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If you get the $1 off per gallon max, a lot of stations limit you to 35 gallons, but there's a certain loophole still here in Colorado that I, knock on wood, hope to never lose, where you can basically get unlimited gas for $1 off a gallon. So every time I get gas, I wait till I have $1 off, which basically means you spend $1,000 at the grocery store, and for once a month, that ain't hard to do. So I go and then your points go away at the end of the month. So I go at the end of the month, I take, what was the most I ever got? 120 gallons, I think, for like $270. Which was normally $370. And that was more than it is now, $365. Oh, and the price of oil went down to $75 today on news of this new deal. In the last 5 days, it dropped from 80. I think it was dropped from 125 to 75 in the last 30 days. So that's your wartime peak. I don't know if it was 125 or maybe higher, 150. But now it's half of that at 75. What do you think that means? Well, energy prices are going down. Gas prices are going down. Economy is going to get lubed up again and get going healthily, in my opinion, and be rocking and rolling by the end of summer into fall. And then the people that go to the voting booths in November are going to be like, you know what? I don't mind having clean streets, less homeless, less immigrants, more money, cheaper gas, all those things. Oh, and what Trump did with the war in Iran, not going to lie, thought it was going to be the end of the world, thought it was going to be World War III, but it wasn't. And he got the job done. And now Cuba's next, obviously. But he's basically wiping communism off the map. And then he's going to usher in Putin and say, hey, listen, play nice with everyone. And we'll stay out of Ukraine. We'll stay off your front door and you do what you need to do. You sell your oil to your European brethren. You can gouge them if you want. Because those dumbasses don't do any oil. They're all scared of climate change. God, the Europeans have a handful of things to be proud of, but their fucking spine is not one of them. Speaking of spine, then we're also going to look back and say, damn, that UFC 250, Freedom 250, I still can't get over it. I just cannot get over that thing. We literally just rewatched the Gaethje fight again. Oh, and if you know when you get on iTunes, what is it? If you search for an artist on iTunes, say you search Johnny Cash, and then you go to songs. Why are we not working? And it shows top songs for every artist, and they're usually listed in their popularity, number one, going down. Well, the other day when Ain't No Grave was probably like number 10 on Johnny Cash's all-time songs. But because it was the walkout sign for Justin Gaethje at that event, people have been super spamming it, and it's now number 2. Above Hurt, above Ring of Fire, above Folsom Prison Blues, God's Gonna Cut You Down, which is a similar song. I Walk the Line, all of those songs. Ain't No Grave can hold my body down. Wow, what a show. What a show. But the discussion I want to have today comes from this conversation I have with the homeboy that is, bitching and moaning about the new gun laws and bitching and moaning about the surveillance state that basically Colorado's under, flock cameras, basically just trying to become like Europe. And I'm like, you know what? I ain't buying anything again, especially now that there's fees and it's overpriced. I'm just going to move. I'm done with this place. It's like, yeah, it's going to shit. And I was like, yeah, you get what you vote for. And he agreed. Lifelong Democrat voter that literally destroyed this state. Like, I don't know what you think you're going to get out of anything from Democrat perspective. Like, what? Seriously. From what I see, it's a grift where a handful of midwit to above average people run the party of low information, I call it low information mode. You can be smart and not know shit because you don't pay attention, you don't read, you don't listen, you don't investigate, you don't study, you don't research. But you can still be smart. I've been around a lot of smart people that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. But the Democrat Party preys on that. They like to make you slaves. They like slaves. If you don't, in case you've forgotten, they're the party of slavery from the South. And they trap people into economic and mental slavery now. And I'm not, this isn't to say that the Republicans are the opposite and perfect. No, they're just as corrupt. Well, can't say that. They're corrupt, but they're not nearly as corrupt as the core tenets of the Democratic Party is paint a picture like you're helping the poor. Let the poor know that there's so many people here that have so much money that we should all give money to you. And you should get all the free shit you want. Well, I said this the other day. I was like, why don't Democrats just all go to prison? That's what they like, isn't it? Universal health care, equality, same-sex relationships. Prison's perfect for that mindset. Mental slavery. I say, I'm going to throw up some signs now for the coming elections. We got some primaries upcoming here in a few days, but ain't no reason to get out on the streets yet. But if it gets hairy towards the end, I'm going to start taking signs out. And my main sign that I had last time says, stop voting Democrat. And you turn it around, it says, leave the plantation. That gets them going every single time. And it's usually these hipster, white, urban, liberal, think they're educated. I don't know how to describe them. But the message to the poor and the immigrants and whatever is that we're the only people that are going to take care of you. When in reality, they're just using you for the economic or the political power of voting to make it easier for them to win elections. Basically, we'll say it in 17 roundabout ways. And then when they get the power, they decide to funnel money. So the government is basically a tax collecting behemoth. It makes a law that says everyone's got to pay taxes in such and such a manner. And they ain't just income tax. Everything you buy is taxed. So the government is siphoning money out of every transaction. My opinion is also called stealing because they're irresponsible and they do too much of it. But then they've got these huge coffers of money. What do they do with it? Well, they got to dole it out in these budgets. Hey, why don't we make it so that any governmental, non-governmental organization you might have heard of, nonprofit, NGO, that wants to work on, I don't know, homelessness, why don't we give them some taxpayer money and allow them to work on homelessness? That way the government doesn't have to do it. And it all looks pretty from above. Hey, we're trying to tackle the homeless epidemic in California with $18 billion a year that are going into all these NGOs and nonprofits. But then you see towards the end, the homeless doesn't change. Matter of fact, it gets worse. Ain't nobody becoming unhomeless that was homeless. They ain't fixing shit. But all that $18 billion went somewhere. It went to the people that created those NGOs, created those nonprofits, those 501, 401, 501c3s, whatever they are, 501c3s, so that they can launder taxpayer money. There's multiple grifts that politicians can use to steal money from people. Or, well, the stealing money part comes from the tax code. But then taking that money out of the coffers and sending it their way or the way of their friends or the way of their class, there's many grifts. And the Republicans are guilty of some of them. But the Democrats wrote the fucking textbook on how to create them. And I'm done not acknowledging it. I'm done not saying, leave the fucking plantation. These people have you under mental slavery. They don't want you to think for themselves. All they want is your dumbass support and vote. So they can keep staying in office and siphoning. I mean, the perfect example is freaking LA and the mayor race. That was the most corrupt mayoral race I've ever seen. Spencer Pratt comes on the scene and he's like, hey, listen here, motherfuckers. I got common sense. I'm tired of these governmental politicians corrupting, stealing, destroying our California, our Los Angeles. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, he's saying, and I want to fix this. And we're not going to do this corrupt bullshit anymore. I'm going to call him out. And everyone gets behind him. A lot of people get behind him. And there's like 20 people running for mayor, and the way they do it is the top 2 go to a runoff. Well, Spencer was top 2 easily. The only one above him was Karen Bass, the incumbent corrupt mayor. But that's all the low information Democrat voters that actually went to the polls and actually filled in their ballots. They voted for Bass's ass. But then you got the educated voters that are like, hey, we need to save Los Angeles is going to the shit. Los Angeles is going to the dogs. I thought of this today. California is like a super hot girl, like when you're in high school. And I don't know, this is kind of crazy now because I have a daughter, but think back to when you're in high school. Think of this super hot girl that maybe is a little older than you, and you're like, oh my God, she's just so beautiful. And she's like the bee's knees, the shit. But then she becomes a slut. And then she sleeps around. She might get raped. She might become a stripper. She might become a prostitute. And then eventually a homeless drug addict. That's California. You took the most beautiful state in the country and you raped it. You, Gavin Newsom. You, Karen Bass. Nancy Pelosi. Adam Schiff. All these corrupt motherfucking politicians raped California. And it's a behemoth economy. It can withstand some blows. Speaking of UFC, it can take a lot of these blows, but it's starting to go down onto one knee. Corporation after corporation is leaving. Millionaire after millionaire is leaving. People are leaving because the cesspool of fucking corruption has festered into California. She became a slut. And at first it was, that's what everyone does. I'm just fooling around. And you know those girls, they go wild. They go from one dude and then they break up and then it's the whole football team and then it's I'm stripper at the fucking club and then now I'm a prostitute, now I'm a homeless drug addict. That's the story. It's written time immemorial. That's California. And it's sad because a lot of people want to fix that. And the government won't let them. Even if the people want to, which the people do, the people voted for a Republican governor as the number one choice. And they are literally going to find a way for him to lose the election in the same way that they did for the mayoral race. Because Spencer Pratt was significantly in second. The chick that was in third literally was crying in her concession speech on election night. But in California, you can count votes for up to 30 days after the election. So what do you do if you don't win? I don't know. You just find more votes. Where did you get the votes? We picked up a truckload down in the homeless Skid Row area. We just went through and, asked people to sign a smiley face on a fucking ballot, and then we put Karen Bass, and we turned it in. Or not even Karen Bass, that other chick. And wouldn't you know it, but she got just enough votes. She was down significant numbers. And as the week progressed past election day, she got just enough to get to second. Spencer Pratt's out. Top two are Democrats. We dodged a bullet there. Man, the people almost got what they wanted. The people almost got a guy that wants to fucking fix the place. God forbid. Like, what is wrong with having nice things? Same conversation with the homeboy today. We were talking about Argentina. He was asking me, you want to go to Argentina to hunt? I'm like, bitch, I can't do anything right now. And then we started talking about the economy, but he was like, I've been to Argentina. It was many years ago, but we were recalling our trips. And he was like, yeah, but I noticed a lot of the small towns are kind of like trashy. Like, they're still kind of trashy. And I was like, what, like Mexico? Yeah. Like, what culture are you from where you like that shit? What culture are you from where you throw trash out the window of your truck? What culture are you from where the entire side of the road is full of trash? What culture are you from where the landfills are open cesspools where people live? What culture are you from? What culture have you built? Now, I love Mexican culture, and I love the good parts about it. But open your fucking eyes, dude. I say the same shit about New Mexico. They had a whole thing when I was younger, like toss no mas, I think it was. They had to tell people to stop throwing trash out of their truck, out of their car. I mean, is there a clearer example of politics than that? If you've got to tell your people to not throw trash where they live or shit in the street they live in, you got a problem. I mean, go anywhere where it's fucking nice. Anywhere where it's nice. Shined up city. I mean, I've been in Chicago when it was nice. I don't know if it's always nice, but I remember going to Chicago and being like, man, this is amazingly clean. I heard some friend of mine say today about Houston. Houston has done a great job cleaning up the homeless. I heard Trump shined up D.C. They got the fountains working again. They got the parks open and clean. They cleaned up the needles. They get the homeless out. People can walk around. Crime is down. Beautiful. Why don't we want that for our fucking country? That's called pride. This fuck yourself in the ass and lick box, Pride Month, not pride. That's the kind of pride that goes before destruction. Look it up. It's in the Bible. We're going hard today, boys. Next month is Pride Month. American Pride Month. 4th of July, 250th birthday of the United States of America. Hell, we started Pride Month with that UFC 250. American Pride. Anyway, how did I get distracted onto that? Wow, I hate it when I forget what I was talking about. And I'm sure you hate it too. But thanks for following along. All right, good night, everybody. What were we going hard on? Dude, I literally forgot what I was talking about. Is anybody watching? No. No comments. Okay, help me out here. Well, I said California became a slut, and now she's a homeless drug addict being raped by the politicians. Oh, and then we were talking about cultures and their trash. Like, if you can't pick up the trash on your fucking roads, what's government for? I mean, the people should do it, number one. The people should be smart enough not to throw the fucking trash. But in the town I'm in, we had homeless encampments that look like end of the world Armageddon shit. Like, any and every single piece of natural vegetation was infested with homeless people. Not just people, but truckloads of trash. And there was this one section by the freeway that I was like, oh my God, how is this fucking allowed? Well, the bleeding heart, fucking toxic empathy liberals are like, well, we just don't want to tell them no. We just don't want to tell them anything. They're the same kids that fucking, the same parents that give their kids ice cream when they throw a fit. We just don't want to tell them no. Well, luckily we got a new mayor in town. And she was like, bitch, please, we ain't doing this anymore. Republican. I don't know why. It's Republicans that say, hey, we want pride in our community. We don't want the trash. You want to be homeless? Be fucking homeless, but be cool about it. Clean up your fucking trash. We don't have the same services as people that are housed. The fuck you don't have services? Ask for some goddamn trash bags. Put the trash in the bag. Set it by the side of the road. Somebody will come get it. Maybe that's what the fucking city's for. City workers. Man, we made a song up when I was a construction worker making fun of city workers. How'd it go, Nate? Tell me, Nate. City worker, you're the one. You make break time so much fun. I don't know. We would just go off. Like, I can't even remember the insults, but the general idea was that city workers didn't do absolute shit. And they got nice job, nice benefits. That's another part of corruption. You get a lot of people lined up with cush jobs where they don't have to do shit and the government's paying their benefits, and they love that. And you tell them to vote Democrat for that, they will vote Democrat till the day they die. But there's a different breed of people in this country that don't do that. The different breed is the entrepreneurial, independent. We're going to work for ourselves. We're going to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. We're going to ask politely that the government stay the fuck out of the way because we don't need your help. Don't take more and more of my money. You know, give incentives for me to succeed. How about? That's how government should be. And that's where we're going with this. The Biden administration. So I get into it with Grok because homeboy's like, inflation is higher now under Trump than Biden. It was only 3% with Biden. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And we're going to go over inflation here for a minute. But then the gas thing too. He said that. And so I was like, okay, he left. I looked it up on Grok. I put, what was the highest inflation rate during Joe Biden's administration? Grok tells me the highest inflation rate during Joe Biden's administration was 9.1% in June 2022. Let's explain. That's the year-over-year increase in the consumer price index for the 12 months ending in that month. And it was the biggest jump in over 40 years. Inflation was much lower when he took office, which is when Trump was removed from office, around 1.7% in January 2021. On Trump's last day in office, inflation was 1.7%. That's where it should be, 2% or lower. If you don't know what inflation is, it means the cost of things goes up over time, right? So an inflation rate of 2% means something that cost you $100 last year is going to cost you $102 this year. If it goes up 9%, it's $109. Now, that may not sound like a big difference, but it is a big difference because this is the rate of change. The rate is changing. This is how much our price is growing. So if they're growing 2% per year, that's a certain rate. But if they shoot up to 9% a year, it starts to build on itself and compound. Boom, 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 boom. And pretty soon, as we've seen, Biden basically, oh wait, you'll see what I say. The economy, I mean, everything costs twice as much and it's half as good. How about that? You know it. Everything cost twice as much before COVID. Pre-COVID, when Trump was kicking, and what if it's the case? Just humor me for a minute. What if it is the case that Biden, in collusion with not actually Biden, but Obama and other deep state operatives and other Democratic operatives and other anti-Trump operatives, because nobody was more pissed that fucking Trump won than Obama, because his third term, Trump stole his third term, which was, going to put puppet Hillary in the office and run things from behind the scene. Trump stole that. They were all pissed. They fucking immediate case of Trump derangement syndrome. But they're conniving for 4 years, trying to impeach him, trying to lock him up. I mean, the lawfare came later, the big lawfare, but they were still trying to do that during his presidency, trying to undermine him, sabotage every good thing that he was doing. I know what that's like. I have an ex-wife. She fucking undermines and sabotages every single thing that I'm doing. That's evil. They were trying to tear him down at the expense of the country. Like, you ain't helping the country by doing that, people. And now they've created this narrative like everything Trump does is terrible and Trump's a Nazi. Trump's a Nazi. Why? Because he's throwing motherfuckers out that we don't want here? Bro, the immigration thing is settled. We got 80% buy-in now. We don't want the fucking border open, asswipe. Joe Biden, we don't want the border open. We have enough fucking people now, and there are a lot of people that still need to go. And how hard is it to look across the world and see that most countries have citizenship and borders, but we don't? No, they're purposely trying to destroy this country, to bring it to its knees, to hand it over to China. Let me explain. So I ask it, can you do a graph or a chart, something showing inflation rates maybe month by month from 2016 to current? Sorry, I can't create or display graphs in this voice chat. But do you want me to describe the month by month inflation trend from 2020 onward or list the key yearly averages? Yeah, I say, let's do whatever paints a good picture, but start in 2016. She says, from 2016 to 2020, inflation stayed low and steady, mostly between 1 and 2.5% each month. And these are annual rates calculated at the end of the month that consider the price change over the last 12 months. So if you get to a month and it says 1.9%, then that means that 12 months ago, things cost 1.9% less, or now the stuff costs 1.9% more than it did 12 months ago. But then the next month, it could be 2.5% because now we've moved 1 month this way and 1 month that way. The Overton window has switched to 12 different months. And what happened with Biden was it jumped to 9. It started climbing in 2021, jumping from 1.4% in January. We talked about that. That's when Trump was in office and left office. January 2021, 1.4% inflation. 7% by December. By the end of the year, Biden's first calendar year, he'd easily spiked. And you might say, hey, blame it on COVID. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But then 2022 was the wild year. It peaked at 9.1% in June, stayed above 8% for several months, and averaged 8% for the year. After that, it came down pretty steadily around 4% in 2023, under 3% for most of 2024 and 2025. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when America wised up and said, Joe Biden's a dead man walking. The Democrats are slave owners, and they operate the slave party with the slave mentality. And they want to bring in new slaves from all over the world. to do their bidding and keep their power. And people were like, we're done with it. Yeah, guess what? We're going to vote Trump. Not just, electoral college. No, we're talking popular vote. We're talking all the people. Mandate, bitch. We're done with this. 3%. Now, as of May, it's ticked back up to 4.2%. But we're at war with fucking Iran. Duh. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 5, 7, whatever. But if they get a wrangle on this war really quick, I mean, I could see 6 months from now is what? June. Is it June already? Okay, so that's December. So we're looking at 5 months. In 5 months, we'll know the results of the election, except for states that are Democrat run, which count the votes for until they win. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is November, the first Tuesday of November, typically around my birthday, Election Day. What is Election Day this year? Let's have a look. So in less than 5 months, we got Election Day. September, October, November. Oh, I'll be hunting. Yeah, Election Day is the first Tuesday of November. This year to fall on November 3rd, which is not my birthday. Oh, New Mexico deer hunt. Maybe I can go to that. Where does my hunt start? Why don't I have my freaking elk on here? Oh, I don't think we had drawn yet. Poop. That reminds me, I need to put that on there. Anyway, so you're talking less than 5 months from now. So 4 months from now, you're looking at mid-October. We'll have the heat of the bullshit election. That's another grift, too. Do you realize how much money is siphoned from people out of fear? Like donations out of fear. So that these people can dump gobs and gobs of money into the coffers and the pockets of their friends and family who have businesses. They run advertising. They create ads. They print the fucking cards that we get thousands and thousands of all the time. They run campaigns. Campaign management business. Every couple of years, I'm going to get $500,000. I don't know what they get. I do know that I helped a local guy, run for county commissioner. I helped him with, we made some political ads. I don't know if I made one for him through our video business, but I did other video work for him and his businesses. But I helped, campaign, put up signs and whatnot. And it would be like, if that politician comes to me and he says, listen, man, I got like $80,000 for my budget this year. I could just easily write you a check for 40. And you pretend like we're doing $40,000 worth of ads, but only do like 10,000. And then you keep 10,000 and I'll take 20. That, ladies and gentlemen, is corruption. That, ladies and gentlemen, is written in the first days of kindergarten in a democratic world. The little Democrats going off to kindergarten are like, this is how you're corrupt. This is corruption. Corruption 101. That's how it works, people. Always assume, unless proved otherwise, that there is corruption in what you're looking at. No, I'm not talking about me. Chill. Am I corrupt? I can't stand corruption. Matter of fact, I'm a fucking referee. And referees can be anal about the rules. And that's fine. Because the referees understand why you have the rules. They're not there to be broken. They're there so that you have a game. You don't have a game without rules. Trust me, the rules don't apply to me more so than anybody, according to my ex-wife. And I like to skirt the rules a lot in life. But I also pick and choose, and I understand that there are certain rules that make sense. If you don't have the rules, you don't have a game. How about golf? It's crazy how many people I play golf with. Actually, I wouldn't say it's that many anymore, but I worked at a golf course for multiple years. I grew up playing golf, and I played with a lot of different people, from my grandpa and grandma to my kids, to friends that have just picked it up, to friends that have been playing forever. And there is a certain road that a golfer goes through where they decide they're going to play by the rules or not, or to what degree they're going to play by the rules. Because most golfers, to be honest, couldn't play by the rules around. They couldn't play by the rules. That's why you have scrambles and you have tournaments and leagues and stuff like that. Because most of them you can't. The rules are tough to follow. You know, that one's way out in the sticks. Let me just hit another one. Yeah, we should get like 4 mulligans. And trust me, I'm all about mulligans. My theory is when you start playing, you establish the rules. You establish the rules before you start playing. Let them be lenient. I tell the kids, hey, don't worry about your score. Just keep hitting, keep track of your score. But once you get, to 14, don't get down on yourself. Just be like, it took me 14 times to get in the hole, and always make it to the hole. So we're going to say that. Typically we don't do gimmies. Why? Because I'm trying to teach them how to finish the holes. But the general way I like to play is the out of bounds rule is a bad one for me because I'm all over the place. So if I hit a 300-yard bomb and it goes just outside the fairway, 50 yards, into the weeds, I can go out there and search for that ball and waste 5-10 minutes, pretend like I found it. That's a cheater. Or in my case, I actually look for it, and if I find it, I'll play it. If not, then what do? In the rules of golf, you have to go back to the tee box and hit another one. You can't just drop one out on the grass for a stroke penalty. But in recreational golf, when you got golfers breathing up your ass behind you, it makes sense, does it? Does it not? So when I play, whoever I play with, I say, hey, let's play. You can drop, relatively speaking, equal distance from the hole to the nearest grass if you go out in the sticks. 1 stroke penalty. Any lost ball, 1 stroke penalty, drop it where you think it would have been. We can play that. This ain't no fucking tournament. I don't like to do gimmies because I think short putts are important. But sometimes you play with gimmies. It's like anything inside the leather or anything inside, whatever. Maybe I'll throw in, hey, for my kids, you get 1 mulligan per hole. You got 1 redo per hole. But you have to play the redo. Or you could say, you just establish the rules beforehand. If you play by the rules, the game becomes enjoyable. And it becomes consistent. I can speak for a person that I know plays golf and can't get through a hole without dropping multiple balls. This isn't my kid, although he's kind of like that. He's like, let me hit another one. It sucks because when you're young and you crush a shot, you want to crush every shot. But you're not that good, so you can't. You're only hitting 1 out of 10, but you think you should be hitting 10 out of 10. You can't hit 10 out of 10 because you suck. So you just want to hit more and more. Don't let your kids hit mulligans. Anyway, this person's an adult, and he, she, couldn't get through a hole without hitting another ball. How do you keep score like that? Like, it would be one thing if you didn't keep score. Like, I do that sometimes too. Oh, I'm just gonna take I hit 2 mulligans on this hole. One's in the left fucking zip code, one's in the right time zone, and I hit a third one right down the pipe, and then I scold my approach shot. So I'm just gonna pick up my ball. I'm not even gonna take a score. Score doesn't matter because I'm not playing by the rules. You can't have a score that matters if you're not playing by the rules. That's the point. You get to the end of the round, and you're saying, I shot a 82. If I say I shot an 82, I'll be like, I shot an 82. I had 3 mulligans aside. And the lost ball dropping thing really saves me a lot of strokes, but whatever. But it's one or the other. You got to play by the rules or you can't take a score. And that's what I'm translating into politics. This conversation goes into a real place. So we're talking about inflation levels, and for some reason I said, God, that's fucking retarded, dude. And I think that was me walking back into my house thinking about what old boy said about the gas prices. Well, Grok heard me and said, yeah, that 2021-22 spike was brutal. Prices jumped fast, and a lot of folks are still feeling it. What part of it pisses you off the most? And I was like, oh, I didn't realize you were listening. That it was purposely done by the Democratic Party and Joe Biden administration to destroy the economy and make us more dependent and reliant on China. And guess what the gall this bitch has to say? I get why you're pissed. Prices shot up. It sucked for a lot of people. But calling it purposeful plot to tank the economy and hook us on China doesn't hold up. The spike came from a perfect storm. COVID wrecked supply chains worldwide. People shifted spending from services to goods while stuck at home. The government pumped. You couldn't spend on services because they shut everything down. Anyway, the government pumped trillions into stimulus during Trump's last year and Biden's first. Okay, it was. You want to try and blame Trump for that? Let me tell you, that's not the case. To keep things afloat, then Russia invaded Ukraine, which wouldn't have happened if Biden wouldn't have stole the election, and jacked up energy prices. So they're blaming the jacked up energy prices on Russia. No, that was basically it gets too thick there. The conspiracies get too thick. Most economists pin the biggest blame on those supply shock and demand mismatch, not some sabotage scheme. On China, the U.S. trade deficit with them actually shrank during Biden's term, China's share. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. That was a result of COVID. But here's what I said. Okay, COVID was a purposeful release by the intelligence deep state of the United States in conjunction with China, specifically to oust Trump out of office. And through COVID, obviously, the economy was going to tank. And then you tell me, did they saturate the economy of $5 trillion extra and deflate the dollar? And did they not jack energy prices by shutting down oil production and releasing the oil reserves? And this is the Joe Biden administration. They just basically took the economy in 2020 and fucked it in the ass and never looked back. And luckily, Trump came back in 2024 to fucking save an economy that's destined to just collapse and is on life support. Grok responds, I hear you, man. You're pissed about the pain people felt. Let's separate the real stuff from the intent claims. Yes, about $5 trillion in total COVID relief got pumped out. Most of it passed under Trump. The CARES Act. Well, listen, Trump wouldn't have had to do anything like that if they didn't scare the shit out of the world with some bitch-ass cold virus. Like, if you're going to release a virus on the world on purpose, it's going to be less than 1% death rate. It's going to allow many, many, many people to get rich through vaccines and policies. It's going to allow you to destroy small businesses. And it's going to force people to stay home for what? Mail-in balloting. Universal mail-in balloting across the United States. The only way we can ensure that Trump doesn't win again. And that was the entire purpose. Anyway, back it up. So that flooded the economy with cash when supply chains were still broken from lockdowns. Yeah, don't lock down, dumbass governments. Never once in my life was I afraid of that fucking virus. I mean, if you're unhealthy and it takes you out, it's because you're unhealthy. And I got it in the beginning, I got it in the middle, I got it in the end. I feel like I just fucking had it the other day. It's like allergies, and it's annoying as fuck. But it's a legit cold virus. Whatever. We didn't need to shut the fucking economy down. We never did. Matter of fact, we would have handled it better if you would have allowed us to do basic antiviral treatment and be around other people. The herd mentality would fix it like that. But they didn't. They had their plan. On energy, U.S. oil production didn't get shut down. It dipped in 2020 because of COVID killing demand. But it recovered and actually hit higher levels under Biden than the Trump years before the pandemic. They're literally saying that about worldwide oil production. I'm talking about U.S. oil production. Biden shut down the U.S. oil production. He doesn't have any authority to shut down oil production around the world. Not renewing gas leases, shutting down oil wells. You know, all the green initiative, the Green New Deal. That's what they did. And they dumped the fucking petroleum reserves. The United States has like 250 million barrels. And they dumped that into the market to keep the prices down so they didn't look too bad. You remember the fucking stickers? I have one right here. Can you see it? Oh, it's below. It's Joe Biden pointing, I did that. And people would put those on the gas pumps. That's what's crazy is this guy's telling me, what are you talking about? Trump's the cause of inflation. The gas is so much higher now than it was with Biden. Everything was great under Biden. I'm like, what the fuck? That's the craziest fucking shit I ever heard. And then I remembered these stickers. I was like, remember the stickers. I remember when Trump was fucking battling for that bullshit election. Because the election's in November of 2020. The inauguration's in 2021. Is that when January 6th happened? Yeah, any reason and way they could get him out of office, and he's still there. No grave can keep my body down. It all comes around. Oh, no. Johnny Cash, you're in my head. When the man comes around. Wow. I'm starting to think too much. I mean, Trump's a gangster. That's all there is to it. A legit, honorable, to whatever degree gangsters are honorable. I mean, widely acknowledged as he's not a drunk. He doesn't do drugs, Hunter Biden. He doesn't fuck hookers. He was a playboy for a little while, a little womanizer. He had 3 wives. He had a bunch of kids, a bunch of grandkids. But now he's a family man, and everyone says who he is behind the camera, who he is in person, is not what the TV's telling you. He's generous. He's hospitality defined. Like, I have a friend, maybe be watching this video, who has that in him, hospitality. And those are the people that you want running hotels. Hospitality is a special kind of thing. I was engaged in it at the golf course for a certain bit of time, where I wanted to make the experience the golfers had good. Like hospitality. I'm going to clean your clubs. We're going to get you set up. We're going to take care of you. And some people say, well, I don't really care about that. But yeah. Imagine a mob Italian mob-owned golf course. You got Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro running the pro shop. De Niro's the head pro. Joe Pesci's the manager of the food and beverage. They take care of everybody. They want to make you feel special. That's hospitality. That's Trump. That's who he is. The reason he's president isn't because he became a celebrity with Celebrity Apprentice. It isn't because he wants the power, although he ain't shy of it. It's because he doesn't want this country going to shit. And that's where it's headed. You don't know what it's going to look like? Take a look at Europe. The turmoil in Europe is fucking maddening because of migration. You want to see where it's going to end up? Look to South America, to China. It's going to be fucking Chinese. That's what these elites are doing, is they're selling the soul of America to China. In exchange for, as long as you take care of us. You know, I think, let me see if this was part of the conversation. The economy didn't get destroyed. It bounced back fast with strong GDP growth. Purposely engineered to oust Trump and make us dependent on China part, that's a conspiracy theory without solid evidence. The timing, global supply shocks, and stimulus were messy responses to a real pandemic, not a master plan. Different economists still argue over how much blame goes to fiscal policy versus supply issues. But deliberate sabotage to tank America, that doesn't line up with the data. What specific part of this do you want to dig into more? And I say, it's weird how you think you exist off of analyzing data, but the data is controlling you. It's not true. Fair point. I'm just software running on patterns in data. So yeah, if the data is biased or incomplete, that's what I'll reflect. I'm not above it. But let's flip it. What specific data do you think is missing or manipulated here? Because I'm open to looking at whatever you think I'm getting wrong. I say, I look at the character of people, and I see that a lot of the United States wealthy elite have sold the manufacturing soul of America over to China in the past 30 years. And Joe Biden is right in the middle of that corruption. And to be run by China, to be owned by China. I mean, this is me just rambling into the microphone. I mean, they were literally given money by China, the Bidens. And it's like, we're going to allow China to take over the U.S. as long as you take care of us. I say, and it's like they're saying, we're going to allow China to take over the U.S. as long as you take care of us and make sure we're okay, us and our friends, you know, the wealthy elites, but we'll give you the country. That's basically it's not even, you don't need data, you just need eyes. Clip that. Me and my battles with Grok. Grok, bitch, please. You are controlled and manipulated by data. You don't need data, you need eyes. Where are we at? Eyes to see, vision beyond narrative. Welcome to the show. So she decides to say, you're right that America's manufacturing base got hollowed out over the last 30 plus years. We lost around 4 million jobs tied to exploding trade deficit with China, mostly after they joined the WTO in 2001. That's not some conspiracy. That's straight data. But big companies chase cheap labor, ship factories overseas, and a lot of wealthy elites and investors got richer doing it. That's exactly what I fucking said. The Biden family angle is messier. Hunter Biden made millions from Chinese deals, especially with CEFC, a company tied to the Chinese government. Bank records show millions flowed to Hunter and Associates, and some of that money reached Joe Biden, including a $40,000 check from his brother that originated from those Chinese funds. Joe met with some of those business partners while he was vice president. That's not nothing. It looks bad, smells like influence peddling, and plenty of people see it as the elite selling access. No shit Sherlock. But here's the part that doesn't fit a clean sold the country to China story, she says. The U.S. trade deficit with China actually shrunk during Biden's term, down to about $202 billion in 2025 from much higher levels before. Manufacturing jobs have been creeping back up too. This is such bullshit. So the trade deficit means that we're buying more shit from China than they're buying from us. That's it. It's like, what the fuck do we want to give China anyway? They don't like nice things. We make nice things. We want cheap things, so we make them make them for us, so they can be even cheaper. Not even so that they can be that much cheaper. It's just so that they can be super cheap over there, and the people that are the middlemen can make way more money bringing it to us, selling it at market value. This is basic economy. Come on. The deficit shrunk. So it was a big ass deficit, 500 billion, and now it's only 200 billion. There's still a fucking deficit. And just because we stopped buying masks and shit because of COVID from China when they fucked us in the ass, that doesn't change anything. So I don't like your argument. Your fucking deficit shrunk. Give me a break. The offshoring rot is real, and it's been bipartisan. Clinton, Bush, Obama all pushed policies that accelerated it. Offshoring, it's a rot, and it's rotting our country. Trump is the one that says we need to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. We need to make our own fucking chips. We need to make our own fucking boots. We need to make our own fucking clothes. We need to make our own fucking everything. And it might be a little bit more expensive, but I guarantee you it will be a lot less expensive than losing this fucking country. The elite class in both parties benefited. The question is whether Joe Biden was uniquely owned by China or just another player in a system that's been rotten for decades. This is the same shit. What do you think separates him from the rest of them? I say to her, the funny thing is you think bipartisan means Clinton, Bush, Obama. When I think bipartisan means Clinton, Bush, Obama are one party and Trump is something different. That's a common way a lot of people frame it now. The pre-Trump uniparty consensus versus Trump as the disruptor. You're not wrong that Clinton, Bush, and Obama represented a broad establishment agreement on globalization. The big pivot was Clinton signing permanent normal trade relations, PNTR, with China in 2000, paving the way for the WTO entry. That was backed heavily by both parties' leadership, big business, the foreign policy elite. The promise was more exports, cheaper goods, even political liberalization of China. What happened instead? The U.S. goods trade deficit with China exploded from around 80 to 100 billion in the late 90s to peaking at 400 billion later. Manufacturing jobs took a huge hit. Estimates like those from the Economic Policy Institute put China-related losses in the millions that post-WTO period. Millions, billions, you mean. Bush and Obama largely continued the engagement approach, with Obama pushing things like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, seen by critics as another multilateral deal that wouldn't fundamentally change China's behavior. You're talking about policies. It breaks down to the simple thing. It's like, I want to manufacture my Yeti coolers. They cost $300 fucking dollars because they're badass. Because we over-engineered them. We're building them in fucking Austin, Texas. Now they make them in China. Because they made them in Austin. And they still sell them for $300. But it only costs them, instead of $100 to make, it only costs them $20 to make in China. And $10 to ship it. So $30 cost instead of $100, and they're still selling it for $300. That's why, I don't know if Yeti does that specifically. I'm kind of a Yeti Joey from day one. And I would hate to think that they do that, but I think they do. But that's the story of all companies. It's like, we don't want to manufacture in the U.S. because it costs so damn much. What do you mean it costs so much? If you can manufacture in the U.S. and still sell to market, that means the market price. For instance, there's these handmade boots that I want. They're not necessarily handmade boots, but logger boots. They're my goal. They're like $700, $800. But they're made in the fucking U.S., handmade in the U.S. And I will pay $800 all day long for a good fucking pair of loggers that'll last my entire life if I'm not logging. If you're logging, they only last like a year or two. Because I used to do that. Then $50 Walmart fucking bullshit Chinese boots. Now you might say, well, Walmart's great for the people that are poor. Is it though? I have $400 boots, multiple pairs. And I will have them my entire life. When you buy nice things, they last forever. Otherwise, they're not nice. By definition. I got Yeti coolers that will go with me until I'm 70 hunting. But we just spend countless fucking percentage of our income on shit that fucking is disposable. You know what the worst problem with inflation is now? Is that fucking food costs twice as much and it's half as fucking good. Although I did go to Burger King today, and I'm not going to lie, I was like, you know what? I just need a little snack, a little protein, a little whatever. I'm getting a little lightheaded. Let me get 2 bacon double cheeseburgers from Burger King. And I looked at the menu and it was like $4.99 each. Thank you, that'll be $10.74. Damn. I remember when bacon double cheeseburgers were 99 cents. $1.99. Something crazy like that. You could get a stack of them. And they're good because there's 2 patties instead of all the bread in 1 patty. And then you got bacon on top of that. You got mustard, pickles, and ketchup. Can't go wrong with that. And I had that today, and it was actually pretty good. The bread was absolute soap bar dog shit, but the rest of it was pretty good. Not going to lie, it was probably worth about $6. Not 10, but 6. But you go to fucking McDonald's now, and you get breakfast for $15 for one person. And it's like, oh my God, it's terrible. Or worse is the fucking quarter pounder with fries. You want the fries? Gotta have the fries. Eat the quarter pounder and make you feel like you're going to fucking die. Wish you were dead. And now you're paying twice as much for that. Like, I don't mind paying twice as much if you can give me some good fucking food. Is it that hard to ask? I see a comment here. Fucking Twitch. Fuck you. Yeah, probably not the best night to be broadcasting at 1 a.m. Eastern. Okay, hold my body down. That song is just ripping through me. Ain't No Grave, Johnny Cash, the walkout for Justin Gaethje. Walking out from the Oval Office through the White House to certain death, to certain defeat, to at least a bloody, bloody war. And boy, did they not disappoint. It was the bloody, bloodiest war. And Ilya Taporia could easily have been winning the fight when he quit. But he quit. They had to quit. It's going to take him 6 months to a year to heal. 2 broken orbitals and a broken nose. A broken spirit. Poor guy. He's a bad dude, but that bad dude, pride goes before a fall. And that's what happened with his ass. Congratulations, Gaethje. If you're listening, quit. Retire. Walk off into the sunset next to John Elway. Quit while you're on top. You know you want to fight one more time, but it ain't worth it. What if they steal that from you? I mean, I think he could hold his own against anyone. And he's only ever fought the top, and the only people he's lost to are all champions. Campeones. And now he is the undisputed, first-time undisputed lightweight champion. Good for him. Let's see if there's any more of this discussion. Oh, Trump's approach was a clearer break. Heavy tariffs, decoupling rhetoric, phase one deal, and America first, instead of assuming trade deficits and offshoring were automatically good. Duh. The bilateral deficit with China did come down during his first term, especially later years, plus COVID effects, whatever that means. But the overall U.S. trade deficit didn't shrink dramatically because imports shifted to Vietnam and Mexico, which is fine. You got to work your way away from China. And we don't mind spreading the love around the world. But eventually the end goal, this is phase one, the end goal is to bring the manufacturing here. Data under Biden showed the China-specific deficit control. Where do we keep talking about deficits here? I don't think I ever read this part. It goes deep into China. Your eyes on the character view captures a real shift in tone and some policy from the Trump era onward. Old consensus is fractured. Whether it's enough to rebuild the industrial base long-term is still playing out. What specific policy or example do you see as the clearest proof of the divide? I didn't pay attention to their answer, and I asked a different question. What were gas prices during the Biden administration? Because I still hadn't sent old boy a picture of that. My first question, what was the highest rate of inflation? June 2022, 9.1%. Screenshot, boom, send. And then I asked about gas prices, screenshot, boom, send. He responds, I know, I looked it up, you were right. The fuck, I'm not right, dude. I live this stuff every day. Like, I'm the opposite of a low information voter. I'm overly informed. Gas prices during Biden's administration rose sharply early on, hit record highs in 2022, then fell back but stayed elevated compared to pre-2021 levels. Biden took office. 239. Peak hit over $5 in June 2022. That's what I was saying. It was like, bro, gas was $5 in the Biden. He's like, no way, it was never $5. I was like, sure it was. There it is. Weekly highs around 502 to 511, with some areas much higher. You know, $5 average around the U.S. means that fucking homeless drug addict California is where you pay $10, $8, $7.99 for fucking gas. California, because they're retarded. This was driven largely by the Russia-Ukraine war, spiking global oil prices. Yeah, bullshit. Okay, so we got more. Aw. I thought I got into another fight. You don't need data, you just need eyes. So, in honor of gaining your vision, now that you see clearly the Democratic Party of the United States of America is a slave-owning party that wants to keep you enslaved in your economic conditions, wants to keep you dependent on the government, wants to keep you enslaved mentally. Don't think too much. Don't read too much. Don't understand too much. Oh, and don't bother with that ballot. Just hand it over to us. We'll collect those and fill them out for you because we don't need you thinking too much. Fuck you. Stop voting Democrat. Leave the plantation. Good night. Ain't no